So the new Fantastic Four trailer is out. Let's take a look at this thing. This is the talk of the town. All right, I like this sort of full frame open matte thing they've got going on. Very vintage, very retro feel. This is great stuff. 1950s and ooh. The aspect ratio is opening. That's pretty cool. I like this. Hey, Rockman, I don't know his character's name. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm just going to call him Rockman. Some of you are probably screaming at me right now. Rockman looks pretty great. Great trailer. Very exciting. Latest Marvel offering. Always interesting. The last few haven't been the greatest, but let's go in with an open mind and an open heart. We want to love again, Marvel. We want to love again. With the trailer, they released some posters, so let's take a look at those. All right. Hey, this is cool. I like this typography here, very retro. I love this shade of blue. This is really nailing this vibe. This is great stuff. Hey, check out this Marvel Studios logo down here. I've never really seen that logo before. That's interesting. I love Marvel's commitment to this retro aesthetic here, even going so far as doing a little bit of a rebranding for their film studio. I'm into this. This is great stuff. All right, what else you got? Okay, yeah. All right. Oh. Ha. Yeah. AI generated Marvel movie posters. All right, so let's take a closer look here. Hands are often a dead giveaway for AI-generated content. It struggles with hands in the same way that artists have often struggled with hands. They're difficult to draw. They're very small and detailed and intricate, so AI seems to struggle with them just the same. We appear to have a hand that only has 3 fingers clutching a flag. We've got a woman that is using an old school camera that you would have needed to have looked at from the top in order to see an image, and she's sort of holding it out almost like more of a modern camera or even a phone. She's not using it correct. Now, would an AI know that? Absolutely not. Would a person know that? Maybe not. I would say, looking at that camera, I didn't instantly know that. I certainly wasn't like, aha! It was another point in a long list of points. There's kind of a creepy face in the background that repeats throughout. That's almost maybe points against it being AI generated, because AI doesn't often repeat faces, so that feels more like just lazy photoshopping. There's also another person holding a camera kind of weirdly. They're not holding the focus ring of the lens. All of these things were pointed out. Twitters were tweeted, Instas were grammed, Redditors Reddited Marvel using AI in one of their movie posters. So this was a big deal. Big enough that eventually Marvel makes a statement. Enough! Didn't use AI. Didn't use it. No AI here.
I am a god, you dull creature.
That was it. That was essentially the statement. It's like, okay, I think what you mean is you didn't just use AI. You hired a design firm, as all film studios do. I think some film studios have their own internal design firms, but I'm not even sure if that's true anymore. I'm fairly certain it's all farmed out. Why? Because then you don't have these pesky unions. There is no movie poster design guild. There's a Screen Actors Guild, and there's a WGA, and there's a Directors Guild, and they had a strike saying, hey, we don't want AI to write scripts for us, and we don't want AI to shoot movies for us, and all sorts of other aspects. That was a huge thing. There is no graphic design union for film studios. They can use AI for whatever they want. Same with visual effects. Visual effects are starting to integrate AI more and more into their workflows, and there is no post-production union or guild as far as I understand. There's been pushes towards that because it sounds like an insanely treacherous industry to be in, where long hours are demanded of you, and if you're working with a director that isn't very familiar with visual effects, you might have to redo all sorts of stuff. Anyway, all that to say, Marvel comes out with a statement saying, didn't use AI. No AI here. And I think we can safely look at this with our own eyes and say, you did use AI, but what you did was hire a graphic designer, and that person used AI.
It is one thing to question the official story and another thing entirely to make wild accusations.
So this statement from Marvel gets reported on by a number of outlets, and to me this was one of the more interesting parts. When the Wrap reported on this, they state, in this case, however, it seems there is no AI controversy to be found in Marvel's early Fantastic Four posters. No AI controversy. That's the whole story, is that there is in fact AI controversy. There's questions, there's debates, there's zoomed in screenshots of pixelated weird knuckle hands. There is controversy about this. Screen Rant reports on it, and they say, the Fantastic Four prepare for launch poster errors seem to be genuine photo editing mistakes not related to AI usage. The movie itself is even less likely to use AI. Why? Why would you say that? What is that based on? You can use your own eyes here and see they clearly did use AI for some stuff. And your argument is, well, they may have done that for this. Those were just mistakes though. There's no way they're gonna do that in the movie itself. What is that based on? Exactly. Vice News reported on this, and they say, so you can't blame fans for speaking out on the posters. That being said, let's just take Marvel's word for it and appreciate the bigger thing at play here. The Fantastic Four are finally in the MCU. Cool take. Again, we should just ignore this and move on because movie exist? Why are these outlets so intent on brushing this aside as, hey, this is fine. They said they didn't use it. It's all good. Move along, move along. Trailer looks pretty good though. Now I'm just speculating here, but a theory I would have is the fact that all of these outlets, Vice, The Wrap, Deadline, Screen Rant, you name it, they are all struggling right now. None of them have the budgets that they used to, and one of the things I am sure they are looking at and doing is integrating more AI workflows into their news reporting, whether it's user interface or graphic design in general. So of course, it's a bit of a bad look for them to say, yeah, Marvel, what are you doing? Why would you use AI in a movie poster when they themselves, as a media outlet, use AI all the time? So, why are people upset about this poster? I think it's because AI-generated artwork represents a shortcut, a cheapness, a lack of quality. There's a phrase that I've started to see popping up around the internet that I really enjoy. AI slop. Slop, as opposed to a finely cooked, beautifully presented meal. Slop. And now you have AI movie poster generator websites. There's open art and deep AI, and why hire a graphic designer when you can just visit the Night Cafe? Vinage? Holy shit. If I saw any of these posters, I would instantly know whatever movie this is representing is not something that I would want to watch, because all this says to me is cheapness, a lack of critique, a lack of taste level. If this is how you're representing your film, is with an image like this, I have no interest in watching the rest of your efforts. I want to watch something that was created with care, with skill. Marvel is a big film studio right now, one of the biggest. They've had a massive run of success. So the idea that they would, for their biggest tentpole franchise to come out in a long time, this movie is a big deal. The fact that they would release a poster for it that, whether or not you believe them when they say they didn't use AI, sure, okay, let's give them that. Say you didn't use AI. Well, you did not look at this with a very critical eye. You didn't look at this and say, hey, why are there so many faces? Let's fix this. They didn't take the time to do that. Probably because it involves having to pay someone. Film studios are trying to cut costs. The outlets reporting on the film studios are trying to cut costs. I'm trying to cut costs. I can no longer afford to eat at Subway. It's just too much money for a foot-long sub. I can't believe it. I can't do it anymore. I'm out. This is a tricky one because ultimately these AI tools are here to stay, and they will be used more and more. The last video that I did about AI movie posters was with A24, and my whole point there was, when you see this kind of thing, critique it. It's okay to not like it. It's okay to call it out and say, hey, that looks cheap as f***. You took a shortcut. Why not hire a talented artist? There's only a million of them out there. They're probably not going to be a million in the future because they're not getting paid anymore. Why not hire them rather than making something that looks bad? It's an investment. I mean, they release a million posters for these movies. Why don't we reduce the quantity and up the quality? Ultimately, when something becomes so easy to create that anyone can do it for any reason at any time, it becomes disposable. So that's all we can really do is continue to critique this. And when you see something that looks AI generated and bad, it's okay to say, this f***ing sucks. Oh man, another AI one in the books. I'm sure the comment section will be fascinating here. So that brings me to talking about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. I'm just kidding. I haven't done any sponsored stuff yet. I'm not saying I never will in the future. It just needs to be the right sponsor, and I would prefer it to be related to movie posters or at least movies in some way. So we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, I am exclusively supported by my beautiful, beautiful patrons over on Patreon. I often do some sort of giveaway for my patrons. You sign up, you put your name in a draw, I spin a big wheel, and you win something. And for this one, I'm giving something away, okay? And this is exciting. Hang on, give me 1 sec.
Help! Someone who waits until no one can help. Prom Night.
I'm gonna give away my vintage one-sheet poster, Prom Night. I'm giving this away. Look at that title. Because this is about as far from AI-generated stuff as you can get. It was painted by an artist, printed on physical paper. Head on over to my Patreon, sign up, and you could win that. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. When it comes to movies and movie posters, there is still so much to celebrate, and I can't wait to show you more.